Welcome back to Date Night with me, Laurel House. This is your deep, playful, and practical guide to dating and relationships so that you can create a love that lasts. Tonight and every Friday date night, I'm going to give you immediately actionable dating and relationship advice, deep insight, and fun ideas. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fact that nobody wants a mow and blow. In other words, put some effort into your dating and relationships, just like you put effort into your business, your house, your children, your skincare routine, whatever it is. Effort. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to start something. You give it a shot for a couple of hours, a day, a week, a month, and then you're like, now it's going to survive on its own. No, it's not. Before we get into that, let's catch up. How are you? I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling a little bit detoxed. It's actually the reason why I came up with this idea of no one likes the mow and blow. And the reason that I'm feeling detoxed is because I spent a lot of time in my garden this morning. I know I talk about my garden entirely too frequently, but the reality is that the garden is a perfect metaphor for relationships and life as a whole. So in my garden, I haven't just noticed, but it's blatantly apparent that the grass is like half of the grass is muddy, dirty, disgusting gunk. I promise I'm going to get to relationships. This all lines into it, okay? So just stick with me. Okay, so half of my grass is muddy, disgusting, wet nastiness, okay? The other half is pretty grass. So, and then you look at my plants, and I planted these hollyhocks. Well, really, I threw seeds. Like I throw thousands of seeds and see what sticks. And these amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, so tall, they're like palm trees. I mean, okay, not that tall, but really tall, like 8 feet tall. Hollyhocks grew all over. It was stunning. And then I just kind of let it go. And they grew and they were beautiful. And sometimes I would go and, pull the seeds off and redistribute the seeds. But I really wasn't pruning it at all. So I've been ignoring my garden for months because the hollyhocks were beautiful, except, some were dying and falling. And I just kind of pushed them to the side, reorganized them, didn't really cut, maybe if I tuck it here, tuck it there, then it'll look good. What I haven't been able to avoid is the fact that the ground is mucky, muddy, disgustingness. And my dogs get it on their feet, and I get it on my feet, and my baby was walking and fell in it, and his hands were covered in gross. So today, I spent hours cleaning up the whole area, going into those hollyhocks and trimming. And it felt like it's something I've been avoiding for months, right? It's something that I've been turning my head away from for months and just focusing on the pretty flowers that are growing, but not looking at all of the disgustingness that was happening beneath and behind. Which brings me to relationships. Is that what you're doing in your relationship or in your dating life or in your self-care? Do you just on occasion put effort into it all and then let it go? Like it can take care of itself. It can run itself because it can't. I have so many clients who after 1 session, 2, 3, 5 sessions, they say, oh my God, wait, everything that you're talking about, I do in my business. Right. That's why you're so successful in business, because you put constant, daily effort into it because you love it. It's not just going to make money. If it was just going to make money, you probably wouldn't have as much success as you have. You're going and you're doing it because you're passionate about it, because you're excited about it, because it drives you, because it's important to you, just like dating and your relationship used to be. Until what? Until you figured, well, I put the effort in, now it can run itself. What would happen if you did that in your business? Would it continue running? Or would it fail? What does it take in business to be successful? Confidence, being able to stand up for yourself, putting time and effort and care and detailed attention into what you do, having conversations, not allowing things to be constantly swept under the rug and pretend it doesn't exist. And it's the same thing in dating and relationships. It's upkeep. So with the idea that no one wants a mow and blow, that came from my husband, actually, because I was talking about my gardener. So I hired this gardener he seemed really great, really nice, did great work when we had to remove some old yucky stuff when we moved into our house. And he came and he cleaned it up and took great care. And so I hired him as the weekly gardener. Then every week, instead of him coming, he would send his workers, and his workers would come and mow and blow. So they would mow the lawn. They would take this like sword tree trimmer and just like cut everything off. Like right when the flowers were about to bloom, they would just get off. Now no flowers are going to bloom for months. You just cut all of the babies off. Anyway, and then blow, right? So the blower, blow all of the excess stuff away. And that's what they would do every week. My gardener also put down all of the sod initially and then put on the sprinkler system to water the sod so that it would root and then we would have beautiful grass. What he didn't do is come back and check to see if it's too much water and if it is drenching and drowning the grass, creating muddy puddles, as they say on Peppa Pig, and not checking to see if that excess of water is actually damaging the plants. So I go out into my garden this morning and I finally decide, okay, Laurel, I'm not going to allow this to be an eyesore anymore. I'm not going to allow it to be a weight on my shoulder for months that's making it so that I don't even want to be part of my garden anymore because I don't like walking in the mud. I don't like looking at the dead, sick, diseased plants. So I'm just going to avoid the garden altogether. Does this remind you of anything? Like your relationship? Do you not want to be part of your relationship because it's sick? It's being ignored? Because you set up everything months, years ago, and assumed that those settings would still be good ongoing without doing check-ins. It's the same thing. I mean, okay, different, but the same thing. So I was thinking, all right, I'm just going to do a little trimming because my gardeners are coming today. So I know a lot of people do this when they have someone come clean their house. They clean before the house cleaners come. I garden before the gardeners come. So I was doing some basic gardening so that I could have all the dead leaves in the middle of the grass because they're mow and blowers so that they could come and blow and get rid of all of the dead leaves. So I started doing that. And then I started looking in deeper and realizing just how sick my plants were. You know, on the front, they were pretty. There were lots of flowers still. Yeah, I could see the brown and the spots and stuff behind. But what you really saw, what everyone else saw, was flowers. Does this remind you of your relationship? Does everyone think that your relationship is great? Because on the outside, it looks great. But you don't want to actually get down on your knees, not in a good way, get down on your knees in a bad way and really look at it. Look at if it's sick. Back to the garden. So I got down on my knees and started cutting, and I'm cutting, and I'm cutting, and I'm cutting all the dead out, and I'm moving all that. And I was doing it for hours. And then I look behind me and realize my grass is covered in dead, sick, diseased, overwatered leaves and some good flowers that were at the tip of all of the dead. And it hurt my heart. It sounds so lame, but it did. It hurt my heart to have to cut those flower stems off because there were some pretty flowers at the tips. But the truth is that the foundation of it was sick and the disease was going to continue going up the stem. And some of the flowers actually had the little dots and the sicknesses also. I don't know what it is. It's a fungus or something. So anyway, what I realized is that in so many relationships and maybe in businesses, we treat them like our garden, or like I've been treating my garden, that it looks pretty on the outside, but once you really start digging in, once you really take a look at what's behind the curtain, what's beneath it, what's hidden, what the foundation is, what the roots look like, they've been ignored. And putting in the time and effort to fix it can be scary. It can be something that you want to avoid because it takes time and it takes effort. And what you might be left with is a skeleton of a garden or a relationship. When I was done cutting back everything, I looked at my garden and thought, oh, wow, okay, not so pretty anymore. And I looked down on the ground and saw all the cute little things that my kids and I had put in at one point in the back, like little dinosaurs and crystals and pretty little things everywhere that I had forgotten about. These delicate little things that were still there, but they were hidden by the big, pretty things that then died and folded over the sweet, delicate little details. I also noticed that the grapevines that I planted months ago were growing, but they were behind all of the very sick, huge hollyhocks. And I noticed some other pretty little flowers that weren't getting the sun, so they weren't growing because they were under all of the dead, gross stuff. So today, it's not beautiful, but in a few weeks, it will be beautiful again, and it'll be different. It'll be different because it will be different flowers. It will be different types of leaves. It'll be different smells from the different flowers. It'll be a different garden. But here's the thing, is so many, now let's go to the relationships. Well, same thing. It's constantly both, right? At least in my head. So I didn't look at my garden and say, you know what? It's mostly dead. Okay. It's diseased. I'm just going to throw it out. Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, obviously, because I bought my house and I can't just dispose of the house because the garden needs work. I can't even just dispose of the garden because it's part of the house. So I've got to, if I want to be able to live in this house and feel good about living in this house, I'm committed to this commitment, right? I'm committed to the commitment of living in my home. In order to live in my home that I have committed to in a way that makes me feel happy, makes me feel proud, makes me feel relaxed and safe, I need to tend to it. I need to make it pretty again. I need to put in the time instead of doing other things, instead of sitting and watching TV, instead of going and doing whatever unnecessary things I want to do. I need to put in the time to make my home pretty first. Same with relationships. Except that so many people, when they see that the relationship is sick or diseased or injured or dried out, they say, forget it, I'm done, I'll go find another one. Well, hold on a minute. Can you just tend to it? If you spend a lot of time looking at the relationship, talking about the relationship with your partner, non-emotionally, kindly, productively, sitting and having a conversation of what's good, what's not great, what do we love about it, what did we love about it at the beginning, where did things start to go off the rails, where are we now, what can we do better today, what would we like it to become in a week, a month, a year, What do we see as our relationship for the long haul? How do we want that relationship to look? My gardeners are here now in case you hear extra noise in the background. So thank goodness I did that extra work. So what do you want your relationship to look like? Sit and have a conversation with your partner every week. It's a check-in. It's a check-in where you spend 5 minutes, 20, 30, an hour, 2 hours sitting and kindly, lovingly, productively talking.
He seems perfect, but something feels off, and I can't put my finger on it. Okay, have you verified anything he's told you? Well, no, but can't I just believe him? Wanting to believe is idealistic, and it opens you up potentially for getting RomConned. Before you invest your heart, verify that what he says is correct. A quick background check on Truthfinder can tell you if he is who he says he is. So I don't have to guess? Exactly. Trust is earned. Truthfinder helps you verify before you get hurt.
One way to do that is by having specific pillars of conversation that you go to every single week. So every week you talk about, how's the sex life? How's our communication? How is our intimacy? Now, intimacy is, that is a loud gardener. Intimacy is multi-leveled, right? It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So there's the physical intimacy, there's the touching, there's the holding hands, hugging, kissing, sex, snuggling. There's the emotional intimacy. There's the intellectual intimacy. Are there elements within those definitions of intimacy that you aren't getting in your relationship? Is there something that maybe you had at the beginning that you don't have anymore? Or maybe there's something that you never had within this relationship that you realize that you're craving now, something that you would like within the relationship, because now you see how this relationship has bloomed, has expanded, has grown, has rooted and grown. And now looking at it, well, at the beginning, you didn't have that intellectual stimulation. At the beginning, it was more fun. It was easy. You really enjoyed each other's company, but you didn't have those deep, intense conversations. And that was okay then. But now you're kind of craving those conversations. Because back then, maybe you had those conversations all the time at work or with someone else in your life. So you actually didn't even really want those conversations at home. But now you don't have that same work situation. Or maybe that person who used to be in your life isn't anymore because you've really honed in now on just your partner and your relationship. And now you're missing that component of who you are, that deep, intense, intellectually stimulating conversation. But every time that you've tried to have that type of a conversation with your partner, they go back to surface, or they think you're trying to fight with them, or they're not in the mood to go so deep, or it's just not them. So think about what it is that you need now, because, we evolve. And even if you're not evolving necessarily together, you can still figure out ways to come together in your relationship, to come back together within your relationship. And that's what these weekly check-ins are for. It's how are we? What's great? What's good? What's okay? What do we need to improve? What can we work on? What do we want to do better? What are some new things that we'd like to bring into this relationship? And it's not just about the two of you, it's about life as a whole, because you guys are partners, right? So, like for me, I haven't been cooking lately. Since we moved into our new house, I stopped cooking and we've just been ordering in or picking stuff up or whatever. But I really liked that nightly family dinner. I really liked it, even though my kids generally didn't like what I cooked because they're kids. And even though there was so much frustration around family dinner, there was something that was still great about it. And I miss it. So I need to go back to that. So it's thinking about what do you need in your relationship? Because what you don't need is a mow and blow. What you don't need is to just be sitting within this environment and enduring it. Because that's not fun for anyone. Even if you are committed to the commitment, if you are not committed to being happy, and even more than that, thriving within the commitment, then what is that? What is that life for you and for your partner? Or maybe your partner thinks everything is fine because everything is the way it's always been, and they're good with that because they have their life elsewhere also. They have a lot of other things going on. So for them, all they need is like a fine relationship to be existing too. But for you, you need more. Well, instead of going and looking elsewhere for more, and instead of sitting and saying, all right, well, I'm resigned to this shitty relationship because I committed to it, so that's what it is. And instead of thinking, well, I'm just going to dispose of the whole relationship and go and find a different one. Well, how about you work on this one? How about you sit down and have hard conversations? Because in the end, it'll be worth it. And in the end, the relationship might look a little different. And maybe there will be different roles. Maybe you will have different responsibilities. Maybe you'll be doing more of something. Maybe you'll have less time to sit and zone out and numb and watch TV. But your relationship will feel so much better. And at the end of the day, what do we really want? We want to feel connected. We want to feel love. We want to feel not alone. We want to feel at peace within our relationship, within ourselves, within our home. And if there are things that are weighing you down, if there are things that are happening that you're just ignoring, like my garden, you're walking through like, I don't see you. I'm not looking at the grossness over there. What's that? That's stress. That's eating at you. Maybe that's contributing to your headaches, to your stomach aches, to your anxiety. Like my eye has been twitching so much. Oh my gosh. And you know, I just noticed it's not twitching right now. It's been twitching for weeks. Maybe it's because I've been ignoring my garden. Like as silly as that may seem, it was something that I had so much pride in my garden, and all of a sudden, I didn't. Is it the same thing with your relationship? Don't you want to have pride in your relationship? Don't you want to not feel like you're lying when someone says, how are you doing? How's your relationship? And you're like, it's great. Or, you know what? It's okay. It's not great, but I'm dealing. Like, you don't want to have to do either one of those. You want to be able to say, you know what? It's really good, and be telling the truth and be feeling it's really good. Even if there are occasional downs, like I'm still going to have to be in my garden and take out some of the dead stuff. And I'm going to need to do that regularly. And I'm going to have to figure out how to fix the water situation so it's not a muddy puddle all the time. Like there's things that I'm going to have to do. There's effort. There's money that I'm going to have to spend. And it'll be worth it. And that's why people see therapists and see coaches so that we can say, hey, look, this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to be better. This is how you can fix it. It's like my clients who, as I said, come to me and say, wow, I do all of this stuff at work. How do I do that in my relationship too? Because sometimes we know we need to change. We know there's something wrong. We know that we do all of this stuff in a different area of our life. And we want to do it in our relationship too, and we just don't know how. And that's okay. And that's why you contact someone and ask them for help or watch these videos so that you can get the insight and the understanding, or comment on the video and ask questions. And I read all of your comments and I will respond. And if you have a question that makes sense as an entire show, I'll dedicate to it. So yeah, no one wants a mow and blow. If you're committed to the commitment, make that commitment great. Don't just be resigned to the commitment because you committed to it. And also, don't throw it out and look for another one that's gonna have flaws, just different ones. All right, that's your date night for tonight. Thank you so much for being here and watching, and I would love to hear from you. So please subscribe and comment and like this if there was anything that resonated with you. And I'm excited to see you guys again soon.